Wanted to recognize a few people before I start, a few elected officials who are here. Councilman Smiley is here in back, represents the 7th District, and Councilman CARTIER, I think it's the mayor of Claymont, in this area. It's good to be here. I know a lot of people don't know why we're here, but it's to address a very important issue. The most important thing we do as elected officials is we make sure that our communities are safe and secure, that residents can live in safe places. Along with that, we need to make sure that the owners of property across this county fulfill their responsibility to maintain their property, commercial properties, residential properties, and also to pay their fair share in county taxes and school property taxes. We're here today both to sign an executive order and to announce an action against a particular landlord who's one of the most egregious landlords, one of the most egregious property owners in the history of Newcastle County, that for too long has been able to skirt his legal obligations in owning 36 properties in this county. We're standing in front of one of them. This landowner in particular, Mr. Fantini, under his watch, we've initiated 1,992 code inspections of his 36 properties. 1,992 code inspections. We found 418 violations. In just the 18 months since I've been county executive, there have been 297 public safety calls for service. 220 police calls to these 36 properties, 72 paramedic calls, and 5 fire calls for service. Mr. Fantini owes over $365,000 in back taxes to our schools and county and code enforcement violation fees and penalties. $365,000 of taxpayer resources. We're here to say that we're not going to stand for this anymore. This is not what the people of the county want. And any property owner in this county who is not paying their fair share, who's not maintaining their property, should be on notice that we are now paying attention and we're ready to initiate action. Now, we've tried to work collaboratively with several property owners on these matters for the year and a half that I've been in office. We've had some successes with many property owners, but for those property owners who the collaborative approach does not work, we're ready to take properties to sheriff's sale. And with Mr. Fantini in particular, we anticipate, unless things change dramatically, by the end of this year, the first of his properties will be brought to sheriff's sale. I also want to announce and make clear that one of our primary concerns in doing this are the residents who live in these properties. Doug Canfield will speak to you shortly. He's the Executive Director of Community Legal Services Corporation of Delaware. I know the Attorney General's office, their Consumer Protection Unit, also has particular concern to make sure that residents of these properties get appropriate legal protection. We at the county have the largest affordable housing program and renovation program in the state of Delaware, and we are here to assist you. We encourage residents who have concern to call the county at 395-5600, 395-5600. This event today and our aggressive pursuit of delinquent property owners is in part due to the aggressive advocacy of community groups across this county. In particular, I remember just last year sitting in a meeting at Claymont Library that Matt Morris, who's here, led. And what we heard time and again was about this particular landowner, how the county for decades had watched his properties go into disrepair, and we needed to take action. My chief administrative officer at the time, Kathy Jennings, headed our efforts throughout last year and then passed on to Vanessa Phillips to make sure that we pursue those who are delinquent and who are really destroying communities. So without further ado, I wanted to introduce one of the leading advocates across our county in fighting this fight, and that's Councilman John CARTIER.
Thank you, Matt. Thank you. Welcome, everybody, this morning. We're in a really important milestone event here in my council district, and I think we're going to send a big message to other bad landlords and delinquent tax-owning property owners throughout Newcastle County. We're done. We're collecting what you owe. You know, come in, pay what you owe. Now, before I get into my remarks any further, I want to thank a few people. First of all, I want to thank our great county executive, Matt Meyer. Give him a round of applause for this event. I think this represents one of the great kinds of methods of leadership he's bringing to his office, and we really are grateful to you, Matt. Thank you very much. Also, I want to recognize my fellow elected official here, Councilman George Smiley, my co-chair of finance. I know he's got skin in this fight as well. Thank you for coming out this morning, George. I want to thank our county police officers who are here today. Give them a round of applause for all the good work they do for us, protecting us every day in the county. Also, we've got our unsung heroes here in Newcastle County, code enforcement, and the tough work that you have to do every day. Thank you for being here as well. The whole point of this is when we go and we talk to lots of our residents throughout the county, and believe me, why I'm here today is related to the fact that my citizens I represent in Claymont are constantly, have been for years, on me about dealing with George Fantini. So give yourself a round of applause because you generated the energy that's reflected here. You know, when we are deliberating on council on finance in our financial committee and we look at our county budget, we constantly hear from residents who pay their fair share. Please, members of council, make sure everybody in this county is paying their fair share. And that's why we're here today. George Fantini, pay your fair share, come up, pay what you owe, and while you're at it, why don't you clean up the messed up properties that you own and do us all a big favor. But thank you all for being here. I'm incredibly glad to be here today. Thank you, Matt. Thank you all. Take care. And we have other speakers who are going to address the issues in further details. Thank you.
As Councilman CARTIER mentioned, we have an extraordinary team of unsung heroes that are out every single day making sure that properties across this county are maintained and they respond to all sorts of calls to make sure our communities are safe. We wanted you to hear directly from them and their leader, the Newcastle County Land Use Assistant General Manager, Jim Smith.
Good morning, everybody, and thank you for being here. I'm privileged to speak on behalf of the men and women who serve every day in the Code Enforcement Department. Over the past 2 decades, we have performed an unconscionable amount of inspections on these 36 properties. And more sadly is every one of our complaints that we had to issue violations for, the nearly 2,000 violations, was precipitated by a call that came from a member of the public who reached out to us for help. So this is a long overdue improvement. We are grateful to the administration and to County Council, our other partners like the Attorney General's Office, County Police, who are our partners in trying to clean up communities. And I think today we'll send a message to landowners and landlords that it is no longer permissible in this county to buy up properties, neglect them, fail to pay your taxes, and have the county taxpayers bear that burden. So I thank you again for coming out, and I'm privileged to be here. Thank you.
Thank you, Jim. We're very fortunate to have a police force here in Newcastle County that's not just responding to 911 calls. It's not just a reactive police force. They're proactive and actually trying to prevent crime from occurring. As I mentioned, they've been to these 36 properties 220 times in just the last 18 months. We wanted you to have an opportunity to hear directly from a leader in our police department, Major WENDI Feeser.
Good morning, everyone. On behalf of Colonel Bond, who couldn't be here today, we'd like to thank the county executive and members of council for inviting us to be here. The Newcastle County Police take it very seriously to make sure that our communities are safe and the people living in them have a great quality of life in all the communities that we police. We strive every day to conduct quality community policing. And what does that mean? It means more than just driving up and down the streets in our cars. It means getting out of the car, talking, walking, and engaging the people that live in the communities. We know you know the communities better than we do. You know what's right and what's wrong in the communities. And by actively listening with you and working with you, we can make the communities a safe place to be. Today in particular, we're talking about the Overlook Colony neighborhood. Over the past few months, we thank the community. You've reached out to us and told about a lot of the problems that have been happening in here. We've sent resources out and we've dealt with a variety of the issues. However, we realize we as the police cannot resolve this on our own. We need the help of the residents, the visitors, and we need to hold everyone accountable, from the landlords to the tenants to everyone that comes here, to ensure the safety of everyone. We were ecstatic when we were made aware of this aggressive action by Newcastle County, and we promise we'll work side by side with the county government, our friends in County Code, County Council, and the community Overlook to make this a better place to live, play, and visit. We'd like to thank the residents for bringing all these matters to our attention so that we can work with you to make this a better community to be in. Thank you.
So there is a landlord-tenant code in the state of Delaware, and one of the biggest barriers is that a lot of tenants don't know there's a landlord-tenant code. And if they know there's a landlord-tenant code, they're not sure who to call to get assistance. Many tenants cannot afford the basic retainer it costs to get a private sector attorney. We are very fortunate to have a fine legal aid service across the state that includes 3 different legal aid little law firms that really offer high quality legal assistance at little to no cost to the client. So I wanted the Legal Services Corporation Executive Director, Doug Canfield, to have an opportunity to come up here and talk a little bit about their work with tenants in this community and across the state. Doug.
Thank you. Good morning. My name is Doug Canfield. I'm the Executive Director of Legal Services Corporation of Delaware. First, I just want to thank Newcastle County government for taking these actions and this initiative, especially the County Executive Matt Meyer and Councilperson John CARTIER and George Miller. What they're doing is extremely important, not just for the residents of Claymont, but for the county overall. I'm happy they're having this initiative announced here in Claymont, a place that's near and dear to my heart. I grew up in Claymont. Went from kindergarten through high school at the Claymont School District. My father was the school psychologist for the Claymont School District, so Claymont's very near and dear to my heart. But this is a problem that's not just related to Claymont, but is county-wide. There is a very low vacancy rate for renting in all of Newcastle County. And what that means is that landlords don't have an economic incentive to rent out decent places, because if you don't like the place they've got, they have 7 other people who will take it. So our job, partnering with the county, which we're extremely happy to continue doing as we've done for years, is to make sure that tenants know their rights here in the state of Delaware, know that they have a place that they can call and can get representation and advice at no cost to them for all low-income tenants here in Delaware. So Legal Services Corporation of Delaware will be glad to help anybody who's affected dealing with and being taken advantage of by landlords. You can reach us at 575-0408 or at www.lscd.com. So once again, I want to thank the county for all the wonderful work they're doing here.
Finally, before we go ahead and sign the executive order, I wanted to just highlight the fact that we have important, really important community partners here, and none more valuable than the Claymont Renaissance Development Corporation. Their executive director, a longtime advocate for all the communities of Claymont, is here, Brett Sadler.
Thank you, Matt. Thank you. Thank you very much. Not sure which microphone to speak into, so I'll just speak out like this. Listen, the county executive said something incredibly important. The county is putting folks that are going to keep communities back on notice. You need to become code compliant. You need to pay your fair share as in paying your taxes. The vast majority of folks in Claymont are pushing for a Claymont's revitalization. And they're great partners to have, and we wouldn't have gotten as far without them. But there's an incredibly small minority that are working against us for their own self-interest. Today marks a day when that is going to stop. So my message is to other people in similar situations throughout Newcastle County who are revitalizing their community is don't let them get you down, because the vast majority of people support what you're doing and want to live in a better community. So there's an issue, call your council person, call the county executive office or your state representatives. They are there to help. Don't give up. There are more than us than there is of them. Thank you.
So what we're doing here is we're signing Executive Order 2018-11. And what it does is it basically expedites our process to take delinquent properties. If someone owns more than 2 residential properties that are in delinquent status, or any commercial property in delinquent status, we're expediting the process of taking them to sheriff's sale, of course, within the bounds of state and county law. I also should mention, I saw Sheriff Sam Pratcher here as well. I should recognize. Thanks for coming out, Sheriff Pratcher. Thank you. This is your copy. Oh. Yeah, go ahead. Hold it up. Oh, yeah. There you go.